mature subject matter. Viewer discretion is advised.
Photos from inside the mosque that surfaced on the internet showing Turkish children being trained to be martyrs. President Erdogan warned of a coming war between the cross and the crescent.
Blessed are the eyes that see what you see. For I tell you, many kings and prophets have desired to see what you see, and have not seen it. To hear what you hear, and have not heard it. I thank you, Father, for hiding these things from the learned and the wise, and revealing them to the innocent and the simple.
It's being called a fifth column in Europe, a vast network of radical Islamists operating inside Turkish mosques and organizations, and it's under the control of Turkey's ambitious president, Recep Tayyip Erdogan. The Austrian government shut down 7 mosques and expelled 60 imams recently because they were being funded illegally by the Turkish government. And because of this, photos from inside the mosque that surfaced on the internet showing Turkish children being trained to be martyrs. Austria's move against the mosques infuriated Turkey's government, and President Erdogan warned of a coming war between the cross and the crescent. The leading expert on Erdogan's network of mosques and Islamic associations in Europe, Turkish journalist Abdullah Bozkurt, calls them Erdogan's fifth column. He spoke to us from Stockholm, Sweden.
What we have been seeing in the last couple of years, an increased activity on the part of the Turkish government to turn the mosques that were financed by the Turkish communities or by the Turkish government, or imams deployed directly from Turkey to serve as sort of political operatives.
Bozkurt says several Islamic and charitable organizations run by the Turkish government are fronts for political activity. This is not Turkey, it's Germany. There are an estimated 5 million Turks in Germany and millions more across Europe. These are Erdogan supporters and Kurds fighting in the streets of Belgium. Bozkurt warns Erdogan's network is a proxy force that can cause social unrest on the streets of Europe and keep Muslims in line.
This is first and foremost a threat to the Muslims actually living in Europe and other countries. Because anybody who is not subscribing to this ideology of Erdogan government are deemed as a threat, traitor, not patriotic, and terrorist, or not even Muslim infidels.
Bozkurt calls Erdogan's fifth column a strong card he can play if he needs to strike back at Europe.
Calls for a sweeping de-Islamization of the UK are growing among British citizens and across the entire European continent. This according to a new poll from the Pew Research Centre, which found 71% of respondents support a ban on Islamic veils, while 45% of Brits say Islam is fundamentally incompatible with British values and culture. The survey's findings come amid a rise in terror activity, Muslim gangs and vicious knife attacks all across the UK.
I was criticised by certain sections of the media for calling radical Islam a cancer in our society following the Westminster attack. I make no apologies for saying this, and I will repeat it today. It is a cancer that needs to be cut out.
Meanwhile, a separate study from Pew Research found Islam is currently the fastest growing religion in the US. Islamic communities have mushroomed across the Rust Belt during the Obama years, with Muslims seeking to outpopulate the American working class, decimated by the opioid crisis and jobs going overseas.
This is our country. This is a place we grew up in. And right now we're being told that we shouldn't be here. We will not be silent. We will not be invisible.
In recent years, Washington-based Council on American Islamic Relations, known as CARE, has firmly aligned itself with the Democrat system across the US. Meantime, National Security Council Chief of Staff Fred Fleitz warned Islam is seeking to take over the US, create a global caliphate, and impose Sharia law on everyone. Fleitz pointed to the widespread refusal across US Islamic communities to assimilate, their sympathetic view of radical left and political Islamic ideologies, and the rise in Islamic education of their children.
I feel extremely angered by the fact that they are not respecting us as parents to make decisions regarding our children's upbringing. If you want to teach our children to be respectful, you must respect us.
The ongoing mass migration crisis both in the US and Europe is another product of left-wing machine politics aimed at bringing down labor costs while cementing the left's political dominance by the means of migrant votes, welfare benefits, and the rhetoric of social justice.
If y'all hate America, get the hell out. There's plenty of other nations to go to. You ain't gotta be here. We don't want you to be here.
According to Alexander Gauland, the leader of Germany's third largest party AfD, the left has also been promoting the narratives of white man's guilt and self-loathing amongst the core demographics in Christian countries. Gauland urged decisive action to reverse the gradual decline of Western culture.
We are here to stay and to change the society, and no one within the establishment parties has imagined that this would change. The people have started to turn away from the totally damaging policies like it happened in Hungary, in Poland, in Slovakia, and in Austria. And now we are also here, and we oppose this multicultural madness.
While Europe is urging and actually taking action to de-Islamize, the US appears to be falling behind, with mainstream narratives dominated by tabloid-style celebrity stories.
Who's hit over there?
Dramatic cell phone video capturing panic and chaos at a New Jersey art festival. 2 suspects opening fire, injuring more than 20 people, including a 13-year-old boy.
Rescue North and South Medic, City of Trenton. South Logan Avenue, the Roebling Shopping Center. Gunshot victim.
Around 2:45 a.m. Sunday, shots ringing out in a gallery, sending the crowd of more than 1,000 scattering. 17 victims hit by the hail of bullets. Irvin Higginbottom was shot 4 times in the leg. What did it feel like when you felt those bullets enter your leg?
It was burning. It hurt. It was burning. It hurts now.
One of the alleged shooters, 32-year-old Tahish Wells, gunned down on scene. 23-year-old Amir Armstrong, now in custody, facing charges. The violence erupting at Art All Night, a community event meant for families.
We head overseas now, and the fragile ceasefire shattered in Afghanistan.
These celebrations came as the first formal ceasefire since 2001 took hold, coinciding with the end of the holy month of Ramadan. But the pause for peace was punctured by 2 suicide bombings. One struck the eastern city of Jalalabad on Sunday. The other hit a nearby district the day before, killing at least 36 people. ISIS, which was not a part of the truce, claimed responsibility for Saturday's explosion. News of that bombing came as Afghanistan's president offered to extend the ceasefire with the Taliban. Our ceasefire surprises the world, Ashraf Ghani said. There is no need for fighting anymore. But the Taliban rejected his request. So the group's fighters are ready to resume attacks on the US-backed government and foreign troops. Critics of the ceasefire say it allowed thousands of armed Taliban fighters to enter cities around the country. Now the fear is that they could launch new attacks.
Turning now to Japan, where 3 people are dead and more than 300 are injured after a 6.1 earthquake rattled Osaka. The quake happened just north of Osaka, the country's 3rd largest city. Among those killed was a 9-year-old girl who was hit by a falling wall at her school. An 80-year-old man also died after a wall fell on him, while an 84-year-old man was killed by a falling bookshelf in his home. The shaking sparked fires, burst water pipes, and scattered store shelves. Flights in and out of Osaka were also grounded as a result. No tsunami warning was triggered, though. The area's nuclear plants are reported to be operating normally. Officials say another tremor could happen in the next few days.
Tonight, Mother Nature's wrath on full display in Michigan's Upper Peninsula.
It's getting way higher.
Transforming this residential road in Houghton into a rushing river of debris. Flash flooding washing out neighborhoods, making street after street impassable. And the threat isn't over. Extreme heat to fuel more severe weather across the Midwest tonight. Already up to 11 inches of rain falling in parts of Wisconsin, with round 2 on the way.
It's back on the ground.
This resident capturing a tornado spinning near Point Net amidst the lightning. Duluth, Minnesota also getting soaked. Floodwaters swallowing cars there. And dark skies over Wyoming. Chunks of hail ricocheting off the ground in Cheyenne, pounding windshields and blanketing this busy highway.
From Columbus to Richmond to Massachusetts, the heat is on. In Chicago, where it hit 93, umbrellas were out. So was the AC for a time at this animal shelter. The Brave still rolled out yoga mats despite an extreme heat warning.
Those mats are probably a little hot.
It's bad. Where we just went from having 50-degree weather to all of a sudden to 90-degree weather.
80 million Americans doing what they can to beat the heat. Schools closed early in Jersey City, New Jersey.
I'm very happy because it's so hot. I would not be able to bear being in school for so long.
The heat is all the more unpleasant because it's come with high humidity, pushing feels like temperatures past 100 in places, and tonight a double threat. Damaging winds and severe storms moving through New England.
Two major wildfires continue to burn in Colorado, tearing through dry brush amid severe drought conditions. Despite the efforts of more than 1,000 firefighters, officials say they have no idea when they'll get the larger fire, called the 416, under control.
Everybody who's involved in the suppression effort, they're working in really, really extreme, complex terrain, hot, dry, windy, with the carts, stacked against them most days.
More than 2,000 homes have been evacuated since this fire began on June 1st. Hundreds of people were allowed back, but some say the threat of thunderstorms this weekend is causing them to stay away. Desiree Champlin is choosing to remain in a tent outside a Red Cross shelter with her son and 7-month-old baby.
We're kind of waiting to see what this big storm does, because we're kind of worried that with a flash flood, as predicted, it could cause a mudslide.
Firefighters are on the lookout for any changes in the weather or wind patterns that could increase the fire threat to any nearby structures.
They're doing an awesome job. They're working hard. They're giving 110% to meet the objectives, and most importantly, again, no structures lost, no accidents and injuries, and that's a good thing.
How long are you guys expecting to be here?
We'll be here 2 weeks.
At least 2 weeks until it's over or contained?
Containment is a long ways out.